Name's Heath, the Wyvern's Hyperion. We'll have your back if you have ours.
I'm having a bad case of deja vu because we have another free reward Lance Flyer. This time it's Heath, and poor dude is getting a ton of flack. It's not so much that he's a terrible unit, it's just the amount of free Lance Flyers being thrown at us is getting out of hand. It's almost worse than the amount of anime swordsmen in Smash Bros. Now unfortunately, there is going to be a lot of overlap between Heath and Cormac, who was only released 3 months ago. If you know what Cormac can do, well, Heath is in a similar spot, so sorry if things get repetitive. Can't exactly help that. For stats, Heath has 40 HP, 35 attack, 33 speed, 33 defense, and 27 resistance. Very balanced set of stats. Nothing is terribly low and nothing is super high either. Very middle of the road for Lance Flyers, although that's not a bad thing per se. For players who really love Heath and are planning to plus 10 merge him, you have a lot of freedom in builds. It's up to you on what stats to invest in, but pretty much every stat is workable. For his weapon, Heath comes with the Rider's Bane Plus. It's a 14 lance that is effective against cavalry foes. Not the most game-breaking weapon, but I think it's 100 times better than a freaking slaying lance. Okay, maybe not that much better, but at least it does something extra. If you really want a flyer that can one-shot some pesky cavaliers, then Heath is ready for that job. For the rest of his base kit, Heath comes with Dragon Fang as his special. That's a 4 cooldown special that boosts damage by 50% of Heath's attack stat. 35 attack is solid, but won't bring the biggest Dragon Fang proc ever, and I probably wouldn't use Dragon Fang since it takes a while to charge up. For his A skill, Heath has attack and defense pushed 3. At the start of combat, if Heath is at 100% HP, he gets plus 5 attack and defense during combat, but after combat, if he makes an attack, he will take 1 recoil damage. This is one of those skills that sounds pretty decent at first glance, and then you realize it's kinda dumb. So push skills never got a ton of traction until their tier 4 variants came out, and that's for a good reason. In his first round of combat, Heath gets plus 5 attack and defense. Hey, that's pretty great, but then even if he doesn't take any damage, the push skill will inflict that 1 recoil damage and it will deactivate itself. You can only reactivate it by healing Heath back to full health. This isn't that big an issue if you have a healer, but it's still very annoying. You cannot even use healing specials because those heal in combat and the recoil damage happens after combat. Basically, if you don't bring a healer or a skill like Mystic Boost, attack and defense push 3 will work 1 time and then that's about it. For his B skill, Heath has Escape Route 3. If he's under 50% HP, Heath can teleport to an adjacent space next to any ally. Alrighty, so if he had a tier 4 push skill, I could see that yeah, Heath fights once or twice, then he can fall into Escape Route's HP range, but I just don't think it's a great match with the tier 3 push skills. If you really want to run away, you are better off with Fury. I don't know, it just doesn't seem like an amazing skill for the rest of Heath's base kit. As you can probably tell from my enthusiasm, Heath's base kit is not very impressive. Attack and defense push might be the best skill here, and it's okay if you only plan to fight 1 single time. I just think there are more practical options if you want more attack and defense. If you want to give Heath some investment, a +1 merge will normally get him +1 extra HP and +1 defense. With the neutral nature bonus, Heath will get another +1 HP attack and defense. Not bad, but it's also the same for Cormac. Alright, now it's time to pull up our comparison charts, which we seem to come back to at least every other month. Literally, it's been 1 month since the last free reward Lance Flyer, and that was Trevant. He is a big outlier here with his low speed but insanely high base defense. Heath's main comparison will be with Cormac, who only came out 3 months ago. As you can see, they have very similar stat lines, with Heath coming away with more speed and resistance, while Cormac has more HP, attack, and defense. It's so close though that the two of them are pretty interchangeable. This is partly why people aren't that jazzed about another Lance Flyer, because Heath is basically the same as Cormac, who just released not too long ago. It doesn't make him bad, it's just kind of boring for those interested in new free units. As always, use the units you like, and anyone can be fun to use in this game. If you like Cormac more, use him. If you like Heath more, then use him instead. If you don't have an attachment to either of them, but like their stat spreads, then you can check out my video on Cormac if you want to learn more afterwards. I do want to rant a little here because the Lance Flyer situation is getting ridiculous. Literally less than a year ago, we only had 1 free reward Lance Flyer, and that was Volter. You could have chalked that up to the fact that we had so many lower rarity Lance Flyers you could summon. Literally everyone in the 3 to 4 star pool currently was in the game before we got our second reward Lance Flyer, which was Cynthia. In about 8 months, we have gotten 5 reward Lance Fliers. It wouldn't be that bad, but none of them have unique weapons or super unique stat lines barring Trevant, and he literally got shoved to the side by Altena because she demoted. 7 of the 8 3 to 4 star Lance Fliers now have unique weapons, and with many of them being year 1 units, players have had a long time to get them. It's not so much that the reward Lance Fliers are bad units, it's just that the amount of choice players have is insane if you want a unit from this class type, and it doesn't have to be only a 5-star summonable option. The frustrating thing, at least to me, about all these reward Lance Fliers is that if you look at the other Flyer class types, it gets really sad. Compare the number of 3 to 4 star Lance Fliers to Sword Fliers, and it's like, what is going on? Literally only 2 low rarity Sword Fliers who have both been in the game since launch, only 1 reward Sword Flyer in 3 years, and no Sword Fliers have been demoted. I know Heath starts as a Wyvern Rider which can only use lances, but they promote into Wyvern Lords who can use swords. Why couldn't they just make Heath a Sword Flyer with Cormac's stat line? Out of the 13 Sword Flyers, only 4 of them even have more than 30 base defense, and all of them are 5-star only units. We could have had an easy to get Sword Flyer with decent defense, but nope, you gotta add more Lance Flyers. He doesn't even have any unique weapons or skills. I know they want to reference the units from their games, but come on, you can spice things up for some creativity. You don't have to make all the free units busted, but this just seems so lazy. If there is another free reward Lance Flyer next month, I'm gonna lose it. That's my rant for the day. Let's move on to builds and playstyles. As mentioned, Heath is similar enough to Cormac that the both of them can pretty much run the exact same builds. They both have Jack of all trades, Master of none type stat lines. You have a lot of build freedom depending on what you want them to do, and that's good for those that want to spend high investment on them. To keep things simple, if you just want to have Heath around, he can be a cavalry counter thanks to the Rider's Bane. You don't see Grani's shield very often, and Cavaliers are thankfully not as insanely tanky as army units. If you want Heath to one-shot some horses, then refine the Rider's Bane for 2 extra attack or the special buff neutralization upgrade. Heath can keep attack and defense push if you understand that it will only work on that first round of combat. Maybe not bad for arena assault, but if you want Heath to clear out multiple Cavaliers, then Deathblow might be the better option. For extra attack, Sturdy Blow or the attack plus 3 sacred seals are nice to have. Heath can also run Vantage since he should hopefully have the extra damage to one-shot Cavs. If you want more offensive utility, you can invest in speed with skills like Darting Blow and Swift Sparrow. Lance Breaker or Sword Breaker are also nice skills to mess with the faster enemies. Like Cormac, Heath can also run more defensive builds since his speed isn't that high. He has the res advantage, so if you want to tank more dragons or survive mages better, then Heath is a better choice. There are a ton of defensive lances to choose from, like the Burial Lance for plus 7 res on the enemy phase, or the Vanguard Lance for plus 7 defense. There is also the new Guard Lance from Fiora. If you aren't investing in speed, then Quick Riposte is the go-to skill for Heath. If you can afford it, the premium dual stance skills are amazing. Having that built-in guard effect is really nice, and Heath can use Mirror Stance 3 or even Steady Stance 3 if you do want extra speed and defense. Speaking of speed, Heath may be able to take advantage of the new Speed and Res Form A skill from Wrath, who is going to get demoted to the 3 to 4 star pool after his banner. Plus 7 speed and res is going to be really nice with the defensive lances, and of course you can further improve Heath's tanky potential with sacred seals like stances, bonds, or even close defense. We still haven't gotten close defense 4 yet, but do be on the lookout for it. Now that we have these guard weapons, you can pair those with distant defense 4 or close defense 4 in the future to get both the guard effect and buff neutralization, which are 2 really great tank abilities. This would be a nice combo for tank flyers because they don't have as many skill options to choose from. Last, we just have some standard offensive setups. Heath isn't blazing fast, but with some speed increasing skills, he can hit respectable levels. The classic Fury, Desperation, and Brazen attack and speed setup can work nicely, and can also swap in skills like attack and speed solo or Swift Sparrow. For weapons, the Slaying Lance is just generally good against any foe, but there is also the Brave Lance or Fire Sweep Lance. If you want a real push skill, then attack and speed push 4 is a ton of fun, but it does put you on a timer basically. If you want Heath to one-shot army units instead of Cavaliers, then the Slang Spear is an option, and some player phase skills that increase survivability include the Impact skills or Breaker skills. Heavy Blade is another good skill if you want special cooldown. Real quick, let's talk about Pegasus Flight, the new Flyer B skill. Is Heath a good user of it? Well, personally, I don't think he's the worst choice, but there's definitely a better freelance flyer for that job. Sigrun has better speed and resistance, and she does have some defense, unlike Fiora, so I think she's a good candidate. Heath could run it, but you will need all the speed and res buffs you can get. So should you promote Heath to 5 stars? Well, he has a very balanced set of stats, good attack, okay speed, and a good amount of mixed bulk, all things considered. Heath's base kit is probably going to require some changes. Rider's Bane is good if you want a cavalry counter, but if not, then you'll want another weapon. Attack and defense push will basically only work one time unless you bring a healer, and escape route doesn't seem like it fits anywhere, to be honest. As mentioned throughout the video, Heath and Cormac are very similar units, with Heath having more resistance if you want to fight off mages and dragons. Heath doesn't have any glaring weaknesses, but he can't specialize better than the multitude of other Lance Fliers. He has no unique weapon or super exciting passive skills, but you can build him up in a lot of fun ways, and he should be a fun merge project for those that like him a lot. I would say Heath is decent, definitely not terrible. He just comes at a time where you have a million free-to-play friendly options if you want to build a Lance Flyer. A lot of these summonable ones do have weapons with refines as well, so be sure to check those out. You may find something you like. Feel free to leave your thoughts on Heath in the comments and come back again for next month's free reward Lance Flyer breakdown. Hopefully that's not the case. According to the calendar, the Double Special Heroes banner is coming back, and I will have a video about that one. See you guys then.